Before we get started, we just want to thank Old Republic Surety for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety, as well as NASBP virtual seminars for the 5th year in a row. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com. Now on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, it's Kat Shamapande. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Get Surety. I've got with me today my co-host, Mark McCallum. Hey Mark, thanks for being on.
Hi Kat, great to be with you today.
Always good to have you on. And today we're going to be talking about accounting for construction firms, and especially those firms that are looking to up their game and seek bonding. So to do that, we have with us today Jessica Krause, CPA, founder and CEO of Lyfe Accounting. Hey, Jessica, thanks for being on.
Hi, Kat. Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we kind of dive into this topic, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about Lyfe Accounting?
Yeah. So I grew up in the industry. My dad is one of 6 brothers, and they took over my grandpa's heating and cooling company, and they expanded into commercial sheet metal. So they were a union shop, and I spent a lot of my youth down there at the shop. And then as I went into my career, I went into public accounting and had several clients in the construction industry. And then I got asked to come on as a CFO for an electrical contractor. They were doing about $35 million in revenue, and I was with them for 5 years before I decided to start NLA. And NLA is a firm that works specifically in the construction industry, providing outsourced CFO and accounting services.
That's terrific. So you kind of got to know contracting from a very young age and then look at it from a different perspective when you're looking at the financials.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, there really can't be anything more important to have that accurate financial information, particularly for a construction firm as they're striving to, as Kat say, improve their game, perhaps move into a public construction market versus a private construction market. Maybe Jessica, tell us a little bit about what you see for those companies trying to make that transition and some of the things maybe they don't expect that they need to have from a financial health standpoint.
Yeah, I think that first having a good understanding of their WIP report and being able to produce a WIP report. And a lot of companies are working out of a software, and maybe the software can print off something called a WIP schedule, but it doesn't mean it's accurate or usable. So understanding we dive really deep into more of the processes and what is producing that WIP report. I think that's really important for them to understand.
So for those who may not be familiar with that acronym WIP, why don't you tell us your definition of what WIP is and what particularly about that definition is maybe not being met by some of these contractors who want to up their game?
Yeah, so a work in progress schedule, some people use work in process, kind of the same meaning there for a WIP schedule. And we're using percentage of completion accounting on mostly a cost-to-cost method. Where we're comparing actual costs to estimated cost to complete the project. And what happens is that they don't understand so much is how that can all change and be impacted by the data that they're putting into their system. So understanding what their estimated costs actually are, accounting for change orders and then budget adjustments to those change orders, and then how all the actual costs are getting inputted and being a part of that calculation.
So you understand very well, having that family background in construction. Founders, owners, the executives, they're pretty busy people. they've got a lot thrown at them on a day-to-day basis, and they're dealing with a lot of other things than just the financial side. So how do they come around to that kind of deliberative process where they're being very good about making sure that that data flows into their systems so they can have that accuracy? What do they need to do? Is there more of an approach or a thought process or a system that needs to be put in place?
Yeah, I think, as the company is growing, any business owner that is just starting out is wearing a million hats.
Yep.
And as that company continues to grow and grow, that owner is going to be handing off those hats. They're going to be delegating different pieces of the business. And for a company that really wants to scale on the construction side, I believe that they have to be an owner that is willing to get out of the field and really work on the business. And they're going to have to prioritize that and where they outsource. And if they outsource the accounting side and want to go that route, having someone who really understands construction and can come in at from all angles. So when we look at processes, every side of the company works with accounting. Yep. From bidding out the project to getting it awarded, to setting it up in the system, to the ongoing cost of the project, to project closeout, and everything in between. So I think, having a partner in the business, and maybe it's on the operations side, depending on where the owner wants to focus, but someone that can really focus on those processes from the very beginning all the way through the project and how that data is being collected and then used.
So the owner can't do it all.
Right.
Do it all, him or herself, right? So
right. Something's going to drop.
Yeah.
So Jessica, what would you say will any CPA do, or do you need somebody who's really focused in the construction accounting field? What would you say to that?
I really believe you need someone who really understands construction. I think it's a completely different animal, even on how you analyze certain data. So you're dealing with over and under billing adjustments in your financials. But even when you look at AR, right? In the construction industry, we know it's going to depend on, are they a GC? Are they a subcontractor? How many tiers down are they a subcontractor? And then you have someone a CPA who's used to working in restaurants or is used to working in retail. It's going to differ greatly, even the service industry, in how they analyze that AR and what they're looking at, or how they're recording retention versus regular receivables. So I really think it's important, especially from a high level accounting, but even down to the data entry of job costing, make sure it hits the right job, make sure we know when those when paid subs are getting paid and how to handle that information. Just a lot of different things going on in the construction industry that other industries aren't seeing.
So if you were giving advice to a construction owner about how they should go and vet potential accounting firms that they want to work with, what are some of the questions do you think that they should ask those firms?
Yeah. And we currently don't do taxes or any audit work or reviews. So I'm also always looking for CPAs that are specializing in construction for the tax side too. I mean, it's really important that they understand it. So I would ask, how much of your portfolio is made up of construction companies?
Okay.
What size of contractors are you dealing with? And within construction, what various industries? Are you used to working with heavy highway or residential or subs or GCs? Do they understand what that means? Listening to some terminology, when you're talking and seeing how they speak. Do they understand what retention is or a WIP report? For us, even when we're hiring, we will show our candidates financials with that has over under billing adjustments. We want them to tell us what it means. So giving them a little test, see if they really know your industry, and maybe I mean, I can look at a set of financials and within 2 minutes give you my analysis, a big picture analysis of it. So they should be able to do the same and just give some quick, hey, what do you see in this 3 minutes of reviewing my financials?
And it seems like construction accounting is not a static field, very dynamic, a lot of things going on, particularly
Yeah.
recently, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing and how some of those things have impacted the area and why it's important to find that construction accounting professional?
Yeah, I think a lot of us in construction know how important cash is to the business, and with all of the PPP and ERTC and
Yep.
large influxes of cash, we've seen it's it's been really good for businesses to be able to turn around, but now did they come up with a plan to handle their business moving forward? Interest rates skyrocketing, even if they're using a line of credit, how does that impact their business and their interest expense in that financial? Same with vehicle loans. We've seen rates go from almost nothing to 9%, 10% on their vehicle or equipment loans. So I think that's had a huge impact to our industry, to their cash, to managing those financials or projections and understanding where they're going to be.
So I know lease accounting standards that changed not too long ago. Are you seeing construction firms grasp that, understand how that's to be reflected on their financials, and how much guidance have you had to give in that regard?
Being in the internal side, we really lean on our CPA partners that are handling their audits and reviews. And
Okay.
so we really look to them to meet with us and have those conversations with our clients. And, we want to, there's little tweaks that every CPA firm is going to want to see differently. And so we want to work with them to make sure that when they're going through their review process or their audit, that they're seeing what they need. So that's how we're handling it.
Approaching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you touched on the importance of cash management, and earlier you talked about, there's distinction between general contractors and subcontractors and specialty trade contractors. Um, there's concern, I think, somewhat out in the industry about where's the financial wherewithal for subcontractors and specialty contractors. Tell us a little bit about, from your vantage, cash management for that kind of group.
For subcontractors and
Yes.
what they should be looking at.
Yeah.
So as I kind of mentioned, the lower down the tier they are, the longer it takes for them to get paid,
Right.
Which really impacts their cash. They're also have heavier labor. So their labor is typically getting paid out weekly. And so they're racking up labor dollars that they're paying out. And if they don't have good billing practices, that's where they're really going to struggle with their cash. So we want to make sure with our subs, yes, they're managing their job costing. So they have a good budget. We're watching our labor weekly. We're making sure that our hours are in line, making sure our materials are hitting correctly. But then we're making sure our billing practices are good. So we are watching those underbillings, making sure that we're billing timely, because, okay, it's taking you 60 days to collect this money, and now you didn't bill it for 30 or 60 days. Now you're out 90 or 120 days on cash,
Yep.
which, depending on the contractor and the size that they're dealing with, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of labor, maybe even $1 million in labor that they're out without getting paid. So I think from the very beginning too, depending on how long we're working with them, focusing on those contract negotiations and how they're billing up front. what they're allowed to bill for, if they're securing materials, being able to bill for that so they're not out that cash as well. So there's a lot of good practices and strategies that we can work through with them on the cash management side. And then if we see that we are going to be struggling, so we're doing some forecasting here, we're looking at our cash in the future, and we can see that we're going to be struggling, we can make strategic decisions about that cash and what we're going to do there. Do we need to expand our line of credit? Are we as the owner going to be able to put in money to the business? Can we sell any of our equipment that we're not using? A lot of our subs buy a lot of equipment, even if they're not using it. So there might be some extra on hand there.
Right.
But what happens when they wait and they're not proactive in their cash management? Then they go after these quick loans that are high interest. We're paying back thousands of dollars a day, and it just spirals our cash problem. So there's a lot of factors and things that we look at with our subs, and it goes from the processes of how we're doing that contract negotiation through our job costing, our billing practices, and then proactively watching our cash.
Wow, that sounds very important to them in all their credit arrangements to have that kind of counsel and advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the many nuances, it makes it really clear why you do need someone with that kind of background and experience to be able to point out those red flags.
Yeah, and the more that they work with someone like us, or their surety agent, their underwriter, their bank, their CPA, they bring those people together and they're really open and having that collaboration with them and communication, the more value that they can get out of that relationship. So we really encourage our contractors to make all of those partnerships a partnership, that they're having those communications.
So you're really saying that they should put together a kind of a team of advisors to help them along the way and help them manage their companies.
100%.
Right?
100%. Yes. And I think a lot of them are scared, to give too much information or to say too much. But really, all those people, if they're good and, good people, they care about them, they're there to help them. And we encourage them to use them.
Yeah, that seems like having that team of advisors would just make it so much easier with the many nuances and the fact that, most owners probably didn't go into that looking to be a business manager. They went in because they love the industry they're in.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So, Jessica, what are some of the other issues that you see from your perspective that construction firms are facing right now? And what types of assistance can you bring to bear to help them?
Yeah. So, we touched on the cash one being a big deal.
Yes.
And then their labor is also a big deal. And I think, there's not a lot that our firm particularly can do, but a lot of our clients, we talk about company culture, and we can help with some of their benefit package and talking about brainstorming some of those things as well. Their accounting teams internally, so sometimes they're struggling to find bookkeepers, project accountants. So not just the outsourced CFO level, but even the day-to-day accounting help, we can fill those roles for our clients. We've even had CFOs that need internal support as well, that we've come in and been that internal support for them, other issues that we're facing.
No, and it seems like those areas are going to be areas of increasing need, I think, right? I mean, you continue to hear concerns about where the economy will be as it particularly heads into 2024 and what kind of cycle we may hit and whether or not there'll be a recessionary environment. So again, it seems like the strength of their financial systems is going to be very important, and having the right people. So part of what you do as a firm is you provide those services, and you can also help them vet potential folks or educate them if they come into that firm as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have provided assistance with training, internal staff. We are currently launching online training programs as well that some of our clients have had their internal staff take.
That's terrific. Well, it's been really great having you on with us today, Jessica, and just learning a little bit about accounting in the construction space. If you have any closing thoughts for any contractors that might be listening, what would you like to share with them today?
Yeah, I think that just what I said, one of the most important things that I had said was taking those group of advisors, taking those people that are involved in your business, making sure that they're the right people. They know construction, they're good people, they want to work with you, they want to help you, and then using them, because that is what they want to do, myself included. All the professionals in that space, from banking, surety, CPAs, legal, the ones that are really great just want to add value to their clients. So use them.
I think that's great advice for us to close on today. Thanks so much for being on with us, and hopefully we can have you back again sometime.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we just want to say thank you again to Old Republic Surety for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. For more information on Old Republic Surety, visit www.orsurety.com.